Joining me now is Gabriel Sepulveda-Sanchez, an attorney and legal analyst. He's with me via Skype from Los Angeles. Gabriel, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
You know, I know you're not in Mississippi, but the prison conditions highlighted there in this lawsuit sound pretty egregious. What do you make of it?
I mean, people have to understand that the Constitution gives us basic rights for all humans. It doesn't exclude prisoners. What's going on here is that there's a violation of the Eighth Amendment, which prohibits cruel and unusual punishment. It doesn't talk about that excluding prisoners or excluding someone because of their race. Every human being is protected by that Eighth Amendment against cruel and unusual punishment. So, based on what I'm hearing about this case and the prison conditions, people are dying in this prison. People are being denied their adequate health care. Just look at the living conditions there. People, I think there was someone that hung himself. Someone was denied insulin from other reports that ended up passing away. Basically, that's evidence that someone's being the government officials or correction officers there are being deliberately turning a blind eye to these conditions here, into the needs and the basic needs of the prisoners there at that center in Mississippi. So
let me ask you this: how rare is it for inmates to file a lawsuit of this kind, and does it actually work in terms of forcing change?
Well, prisoners file a lot of lawsuits, and there's actually an act, the Prison Litigation Reform Act, and there's certain measures that need to be taken in order for them to actually bring a lawsuit. Under that statute, you actually have to exercise all administrative remedies first, and then be able to file a lawsuit. So that it's common for prisoners to file lawsuits, but for something of this sort, these types of conditions of that prison, this is something that I think this is a special circumstance here.
You know, we saw this week that Dylan Roof, the killer who gunned down those churchgoers in South Carolina, he wrote a letter complaining about his own conditions on death row in Indiana, that he was being mistreated by prison officials, and he's saying it's pretty deliberate. I mean, he's on death row and complaining about things, knowing that he is nowhere to go. So it seems to be pretty rampant nationwide, these complaints about prison conditions.
Yeah, it has nothing. People make complaints all the time in day-to-day life. It's a matter of how egregious the conditions are there. Under they call it a Section 1983 claim, you have to prove that there's been a violation of your constitutional rights. So in this case, it'd be a violation of the Eighth Amendment. And then from there, you have to show that there's actually a serious medical condition that you have, diabetes, HIV, something that is serious enough that if not treated carefully, can cause permanent injury or death. So just because you're complaining about someone giving you a bad attitude, or just because they're not changing the sheets quick enough, or whatever it is, it has to be an actual serious medical condition that you suffer from, or serious condition. And they make the standard very hard for just so they can weed out a lot of the basic complaints people can make.
Well, what about rappers Jay-Z and Yo Gotti and the other celebrities we've seen who've come to the defense of people in the system? Do they make a difference? Can they make a difference?
I think so. I mean, these are high net worth individuals that were using these nonprofit organizations, or having an extension of their businesses, and their whatever it is, it's their tax purposes or tax write-offs. They're putting a lot of resources and money into these organizations to file lawsuits and to protect people. A lot of attorneys are not inclined to take these cases against government officials. They're very difficult cases to litigate, and you have to actually show that there's deliberate denial of medical care. It's not that they didn't go to appointment quick enough. You actually show like a malice intent, and that's a hard standard to prove when someone acted with actual malice or indifference to a human being's life. So a lot of lawyers don't take these cases. They're very expensive to litigate. You're going up against the government, so you have to be prepared to spend a lot of money.
Well, as you say, it's a hard road ahead, but we'll follow this case with Jay-Z and Yo Gotti and see where it shakes out. Attorney, legal analyst Gabriel Sepulveda-Sanchez, thank you for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
All right. Here's a look at what we're tracking tonight around the U.S. Questions remain after a man killed multiple people in the latest mass shooting in America.